All right, Travis. This episode, it was a lot to get down. We're gonna have to do it not only fast, but furious. Are you fucking ready for this?
I don't think so.
I swear to God, I will fucking destroy you.
Can I go home?
I will fucking jam you with a NOS system and drive you to this goddamn podcast. But anyway, welcome to the UGO podcast.
I'm scared.
It's going to be Fast and Furious edition, and if you're wondering who is all hyped up on adrenaline and testosterone, why, it's me, Nick, the Merc with a mic, and my fellow unapologist,
Travis.
And we are going to be talking about the fate of the Furious today, the recent installment of the Fast and the Furious franchise, one of my favorite bad movie franchises. And I am so excited, and we were going to do a movie review of it, but then I decided, no, it deserves a whole episode in and of itself. That way we can talk about the Fast and Furious timeline and all the different continuities and all that sort of good jazz, how their superpowers work, what cars engage what superpowers, because I think different cars actually engage different powers based on what they are. It's kind of like accessories, like in a MMO, or maybe different equipments, like
the different classes.
A different class system. Yeah. I like it, but yes. Before that, we have, of course, the news of the week that we got to get to. Not a whole lot, but we got some stuff to talk about. We got the box office to talk about. We got the new Mystery Science Theater has returned, and I'm going to give my thoughts on that, or as far as I've watched so far. And we got, of course, the trailer talk for today, where we will bring on special guest Kyle to talking about The Last Jedi. And that trailer, the great Star Wars-y goodness, all that good jazz. And before even that, we have the announcements that we got to get to. And in honor of the announcements, I think we will bring in Dominic Toretto himself, Vin Diesel's character from Fast and Furious, to do the announcements. Let's see, I haven't tried this impression yet. No, but let me see if I can get it. Family. No. Family.
Nope, that's about it.
Okay. Well, it's the UGO podcast, of course, and I've got to go maybe a little bit deeper. Yes, workshopping an impression right on the live podcast. That'll work out great. Brilliant. Anyway, we gotta always mention Tanner and Hackle. Designed the UGO of our logo, and it took him a 15 second commission on absolutely fantastic, and he did great work for us. If you need some graphics design work done, he's good to check out. And he married my cousin recently, so he's family, and you can trust him. And of course, Kelly Mayne isn't family, but she did make us the UGO. It did make us Isabella, the Derby Dragon of a mascot, and of course, Isabella is family, so she, being the creator of family, is like secondhand family. So give her some work if you got any art commissions to do. Of course, if you want to check out our family at Facebook, you could do that at Unapologetic Geek Out. And of course, our webpage is unapologeticgeekout.com. Give us a comment there, and if you want to help out the podcast with some visibility and all that good jazz, you can give them a 5-star review on iTunes. Give them a full 5 stars. And then if you want to mention, I don't know, just family like 10,000 times, I will have to read it on the air, because that's Nick's guarantee, word for word. But yes, we got we're going to switch back to Nick right now, because I don't think I could say family one fucking more time in one ad read. Well, thank you, Vin Diesel, and if you're playing the Fast and Furious drinking game with this podcast, I am so sorry. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that, and of course, check out our YouTube channel. Lately, we've been having the good, Let's Plays going up. We have Horizon Zero Dawn, Mass Effect. We're going to have some new stuff coming up pretty soon with Abzu and some other good jazz like that. And other than that, I think we can just get started.
All right.
So how you been today, buddy?
I'm a little burnt.
You a little burnt up?
Easter Sunday did that to me.
Oh, yeah. We shouldn't have gone outside.
I really shouldn't. Like, I'm not as white as you, but I am Irish skinned, so
yeah.
That'll get me every time.
I'll tell you what, you gotta bring those eggs inside like God intended, like Jesus intended.
Of course, he hid behind a rock. Obviously, he was avoiding UV rays.
I would think, I mean, every picture I've seen him, he's got such a fair complexion.
He's also ripped.
Oddly enough.
Carrying that cross takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, how long do you think until Jesus is actually a member of the Fast and the Furious crew? Now that I think about it,
we're on 8.
We're on 8. Yeah,
we're overdue.
We're overdue for it. I think so. Fast and the Furious 12, the crucifixion. But yeah, before we get into that, we want to just get right into the news. News of the week?
Sure.
All right. Well, since we're talking about Fast and the Furious, do you want to hazard a guess how much it made its opening weekend?
Probably quite a lot.
Quite a bit is a good guess. Do you want to hazard in the hundreds of millions?
350.
350? That would be a respectable opening. That's about like what Batman v Superman and that went at, right? So you would think pretty respectable. It actually opened up at just a little over that. It's about at 532.5 million in its first weekend,
and that's domestic.
It beating the 529 million record earned in 2015 by Star Wars The Force Awakens. Holy crap.
That's kind of depressing in a way.
That is fucking amazing. Now, that is the worldwide box office.
Okay, that is worldwide.
So, yeah. But that is crazy. And as far as my argument for these films has always said that as far as diversity not being profitable internationally, fuck you. Completely wrong. Because over half of this cast is just like, how many actual true blue white people are in this?
The one person I kept making jokes off from.
Yeah, we got fucking
newbie.
Clint Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood. Like, he's like the only dude. Or unless you want to include Kurt Russell into the crew.
Yeah,
but I guess he's like a sub character.
He counts.
But still, out of like 8 dudes, like 2 of them, you'll never find a ratio like that in another big budget Hollywood film.
No.
These things are a fucking phenomenon. But yeah, good seeing that with that type of crew and for a movie that I actually enjoyed. So yeah, good for them. In our next story, we got another thing that's going to tickle me pink, but probably won't mean anything to much other people. Taika Waititi is playing Korg in Thor Ragnarok.
I don't know what half those words mean.
Well, he's the director of the film,
okay.
Taika Waititi, and he's playing Korg. Now, Korg is actually from Planet Hulk storyline. He's the rock dude.
Okay.
You saw him in the Thor, or saw one of his race in the Thor, The Dark World, where he beats the crap out of that rock monster in like one punch. And he is actually one of Hulk's main companions in the Planet Hulk storyline.
Oh, okay.
So he might be running around for, if it's the director making a cameo, I'm sure he'll be like in it for like 1 or 2 scenes or something, and then won't be mentioned much again. But yeah, I wonder if we'll see any more of the Warbound, like Meek, or no, we can't see. One of them's the Brood, and that's an X-Men villain, and they can't use them. Shit. Oh well. But yeah, so I love stories like that because it's like, hey, I get to be Korg, and that means Korg's in it at some point, and it's Planet Hulk, but not really because we can't do Planet Hulk. But this is the closest I'm ever gonna get.
It's still pretty good. Though.
Man, it's still good. Keeping it to Marvel news, we got Guardians of the Galaxy. The director James Gunn has said that there will not be one mid-credit scene or traditional 2. There'll be more than that. There'll not be 3, not 4, but 5 credit sequences. Most of them being jokes, little joke sequences, and one at the very end that might further the plot just a little bit.
Oh, do you remember back in the 90s where you actually had to stay not for like mid-credit scenes but for bloopers? That's what we used to stay for?
We used to stay for that on a rare occasion it would happen. Now it's like if your movie is anywhere near kind of a superhero related. Like, if during Fate and the Furious, I swear to God, I was like, man, should we stay through in the credits? Like, because there might be...
I mean, you never know.
They've done it before. They've done it before in Fast 5, I think. But, yeah, so that sounds like it's going to be fun. Also, it's confirmed that James Gunn will be returning for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Okay.
He says he's coming back for the third one. And I don't know, we haven't seen the second one yet.
It's hard to say.
So it's hard to say if that's a good decision or not. But just based off the first one, I'd think that, yeah, it's probably a good idea to keep that tone going. But we've seen other directors lose their steam during it, like Jon Favreau's Iron Man. But that could have been studio interference, so we don't really know. Okay, next up on the story docket, we got, you know what, we'll just talk about the Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Okay.
Its return. So, for those of you who don't remember Mystery Science Theater, it was an old show that has basically had this one guy, Joel, and sometimes they switched out their dude, but they also had the robots making fun of old movies, and they would do it on, like, I think it ran on the Sci-Fi Channel. It ran at Public Access for a while. It ran like 4 different places before it ended up ending. And Netflix has just recently revived it. So I thought I would give it a try, since I've watched a couple of the other Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes. Now, this one might be really controversial. I don't know how the reception is for the Mystery Science Theater 3000. The Netflix revival, I actually like it a lot better than the Mystery Science Theater 3000, the original. And the reason why is that I was never a huge fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000 to begin with.
No.
Well, here's my thing. It is funny. It is really neat. And it's probably because I didn't grow up with it, and I watched it after listening to Riff Tracks. Riff Tracks has a bunch of the same people coming in to do audio commentaries for movies I've actually watched.
Right.
And they are at the time they're more in the now,
more relevant.
Watching the old episodes, it's like I know a significant amount about movies. Like, if you were to know me, like, how big of a fan would you say me? I'm like, I'm a little bit more than the casual fan when it comes to movie cinema.
You boy are closer to obsessive
and knowledge. I only get like half the references they make in the Mystery Science Theater original episodes. Like, some of them I'm just like, what movies are they referencing right now? And it's always some old sci-fi movie from the 70s or 80s that I didn't see, and I was like, God damn it. And it's not the fact that I just didn't grow up in that time.
Right.
I haven't watched all those movies. So in the new one, they're making Eminem references. They're making Game of Thrones references.
There you go. I'll get you.
I get like 90%, if not just all the references in all the episodes. So I'm constantly laughing more when I'm watching it.
Unsurprising, since it's on Netflix.
Now, and then they've brought in Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt to be the new villains of the piece, forcing them to watch the movies. And that's a good decision. Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt being like geek community gods, like hierarchy. They're the royalty. They do the they intersperse it with little like skits that they do, like the old show used to do, and that's still the weakest fucking part of the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you never watched Mystery Science Theater?
I really haven't.
Yeah. So they do these like exchanges, like they do invention exchanges, and then sometimes they do little skits in between the movies. And the thing that the Return series does is that it keeps the same style as humor as the first one did, with its really, really corny jokes that are kind of they're so on the nose. And the Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt are doing their damnedest to really deliver it with some comedic flair, and they're doing it's the best it can be for that style of humor, but it's definitely the 80s style of humor that I'm just like, man, this is just awkward and kind of painful, and like but that could just be my I don't know, my humor is of a different time. So when they bring stuff in, like, it's the invention exchange. Look, it's this bubble fan, and it's like, look at it. It's like a geisha fan, but it makes bubbles. Yay, bubbles! And I'm like, what's the fucking joke here? And Yeah, the when it's like Patton Oswalt's like, oh, and I'm a great I'm a great conversationalist. And you get it? Because the joke is that he didn't finish the sentence very well because he's not a great conversator. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. So they're at their best when they're riffing the movie and it's rapid fire and they're just like, oh, here it goes. And I really like that. To be fair, I've watched so many things that are basically inspired by Mystery Science Theater, like Nostalgia Critic, Blockbuster Buster, anything that's basically riffing movies and making fun of them while critiquing them. Riff tracks, like we've done a commentary, like we've technically done that now, and now you can just and especially when I'm watching these movies, it's always like, wow, I'm watching the whole movie and they're gonna make fun of it the whole movie, which is cool and it's fine, and they have to work in their jokes in between dialogue and stuff like that, so you can tell that it's hard. But like I can watch like nostalgia critics making fun of, say, like Mad Max, and he'll cut to the important parts or the parts he wants to make fun of. So it's kind of like,
well, this just seems like something that, once again, it's the original trying to be rebooted when it has so many things based off of that it no longer makes sense to reboot it.
Well, I think that it actually, I don't know, it actually does make sense to reboot it because there is a visual element to where the robots, like their little silhouettes at the bottom, sometimes they come up and they try and like move stuff on the screen. Like there's a rocket ship in one episode and it's trying to lift up, and then one of the robots goes up to pretend like he's moving it, like, oh god, and it's like, oh man, this is funny, and it's a visual joke and I like it. And the robot Gypsy comes down every once in a while, so there is something to the visuals, watching it. But as far as pure riffing, like, it's probably the Riff Tracks guy. Like, the Riff Tracks have had it down to a science. And I don't know, maybe it's because there's so many goddamn writers on the show. Like, you look at its writing credits, and there's there's like 8-10 writers per episode, depending. And there's so many people's styles of jokes in there that it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know who writes those side bits, but they're obviously not for me. And but there's not too many of them. There's like maybe 2 an episode, because there used to be a bunch of them like in betweens when they would cut to commercial break for seasons. You don't have to do that on Netflix,
right?
But yeah, I gotta say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm gonna keep up with it. I've watched a couple of the episodes, and I got to admit, by the end of the movie, depending on what movie it is, I get a little bored. But I'm going to keep up with it and give the whole first season a try, and maybe come back with a more full synopsis of how I feel about it. But so far, I would say that, as far as updating it for a modern audience as well as appealing old nostalgic fans, probably the best that they could have possibly done, which is saying something. Normally, these revivals don't go very well. And yeah, there's great cameo appearances. They have Will Wheaton on for a little small thing. Sometimes that awkward humor does work, but sometimes I'm just like, eh. But
this is awkward.
Yeah, this is really awkward. But yeah, I would say it's definitely worth your time to check it out. But with that, that's all I really had for today. Do you want to just go right into our musical break, and we'll go into the trailer talk and come back? All right. So we'll be back right after this.
Cheesy movies, the worst I can find. He'll have to sit and watch them all, and we'll monitor his mind.
Now keep in mind that Jonah can't control when the movies begin or end. So he'll have to keep his sanity with the help of his robot friend. You're wondering how he eats and breathes.
And welcome back to the UGO podcast. We got trailer talk today, and for this special trailer talk, because it's only going to be one trailer for today.
It's a very special trailer.
So, but it's a big one though, because we got the the Star Wars: The Last Jedi trailer, and we brought back Kyle. To
a special guest for this one.
Kyle is a special guest to talk about the Last Jedi trailer because if you guys remember a while back, we did a episode basically just on predictions of what the next chapter of Star Wars was going to be after we saw The Force Awakens, and we all had our own pitches that had more or less stuff in common, and Kyle had a very interesting one that I feel is very reflective in this trailer, so let's give it a watch and see how Kyle was right. Kyle, do you feel pretty confident in your predictions?
Yeah. I feel like they did it. It's just the one thing, one particular thing in this trailer, but we can watch it.
Yes, we'll get to it. Touch me. Damn it.
What do you see? Light. Darkness.
Franchises.
A balance. It's so much bigger.
I only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end.
Woo! Oh, geez, Luke. You go away for a couple years to become a drama llama.
Okay, so there's a lot to break down about this trailer, but let's start with Kyle's prediction. Now, Kyle, if I'm remembering your prediction right, it was very much that Rey would come to Luke to try, have her get trained by him, and he would not be very into it because the Jedi way has not worked out for him.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out at all in the past, centuries. So.
Nope. And yeah, that's very reflective in this trailer because while he does seem like he is training her, he has that line of, if there's one thing I know for sure is that the Jedi way is not the way.
Yep.
He told her, look, what do you see? And, didn't stop with just light, so both.
Right, there's imbalance and all that. So, and then, Kyle, so what were some other things you saw in the trailer that might prove any of your theories? You see that? Or?
Well, I don't know if it's going to actually prove, because I wanted them to avoid some of the things that looks like it's going to be in the trailer. It looks like it's going to be very much like The Empire Strikes Back, where there's going to be a lot of battling, but Rey's going to be off training with Luke.
Yeah.
Except for she's not going to become a Jedi or per se or something because Luke doesn't want that. Mm-hmm. There's another couple of things that I could see in here that they could make as a turn, whereas Luke actually does become a Sith.
Ooh. Man, that'd be a hard turn. It'd be interesting. I feel like that's a hard turn for Disney to do.
Yeah, I think that'd be rather difficult. I think they're just going to go the middle of the line route.
He'll do the more gray.
Yeah, originally I wanted Maz to train her because Luke would go no, fuck off.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Then we get to see more Maz.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of starting to run off on a tangent. I forgot what the original question was.
I just asked you if there was any other things in the trailer that kind of that piqued your interest that you saw that were ooh, that looks like it might fit what I'm thinking.
Nah. I'm in general just excited that it looks very much like, at least the battles look very much like the new one, the New Hope?
Yeah.
No, that's
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens, yeah. Yeah, that one.
See, I would actually prefer if they looked more like the Rogue One battle at the end, because that one I thought was a little more visually engaging than the Force Awakens one, but they both they have a really neat sheen to them, and they look like the old battles from the old films, and so that's basically what's most important. We get some interesting stuff, like we see Kylo Ren's helmet completely destroyed, like, is it...
That looked like Vader's to me, but maybe it's Kylo Ren's.
It's like it's all blown up.
Yeah, it was all blown up and shit, so how can you tell?
I'm thinking it was Kylo Ren's because there's like more venting near it. I don't know. I'm like trying to look set design wise, but we might see him go through a transformation as well, because he's going to be off training with Snoke and doing like the same thing. We don't really just see any of that. I'm wondering if that'll play into a factor. We see Finn in a hibernation thing. Was he in his stormtrooper armor? Did it look like it?
It was hard to tell.
I couldn't tell. It
was
looked like it might just
armor
be
of just a white
a medical thing.
It could have just been a medical, because I wanted it to prove my theory right of him using his old stormtrooper shit to get into old bases and like using his old knowledge and stuff to fuck over in the New Order or the First Order. But maybe that you could be right. I didn't see enough of it. Could just be a medical thingy. I can't wait to see the Knights of Ren, and like, because it looks like we're going to flash back to Luke's, face off with them and like what exactly happened there.
Betrayal.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing that. I love that we're going to get more Poe in it. His starship blew the fuck up though, so that sucks.
Yep. Also interesting for a character who was apparently supposed to die in the first film of the new trilogy.
Yeah, but apparently Oscar Isaacs is just was so charismatic that it's like, man, we got to keep this guy around. And I love that. They have BB-8. I love BB-8. I think I love BB-8 even more than R2 and some of the other droids, because you see him in that hallway just hauling ass, like that little, like, because he does that lean forward little roll, but it looks like he's running. It looks like he's really trying to get the fuck out of there, rather than R2 and C-3PO. Like, even in dangerous situations, they're moving slow as shit.
Yep.
So I like BB-8's like little frantic, like, oh fuck guys, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. Like, he's outrunning most of the human characters.
It's a bit better visual storytelling.
Yeah, it comes off as a little more urgent, his desperation there. As far as the cinematography, wow, were some of those shots gorgeous. Like that, I'm not sure what island they're on, but where they're training.
Red sand.
But that, and then they're training with the lightsabers on that cliffside, and it's like this beautiful long shot. I'm like, oh my god, that is like visually just gorgeous.
Oh yeah, when they're in Ireland.
Yeah, in Ireland. Yeah, in Ireland. I think that must be where they'd be like, well, what a great location that must be to shoot in, just how just beautiful it looks. But yeah, the interesting thing about this trailer is that we get like basically a confirmation of what we thought was going to happen, like, the training and stuff, but we have no, and again, it's just a teaser, but we have no idea what the main conflict's going to be.
Nope.
Leia they shot, Carrie Fisher shot most of her scenes for this movie. This was all done, but then the next movie, The Last Jedi, or no, the next movie after this one, they didn't have all those shots taken care of.
Yeah, no.
So it sounds like now that they're going to take some of the footage they have for this movie and switch it over to the last movie in order to spread out her presence, so it's not, it doesn't feel weird not having her in on the next one.
And that could potentially hurt the storytelling aspect of this one,
which was a thing I'm worried about too, is that those scenes, like, in context, like, how are they going to rework them to, like, are they going to stretch out her storyline for the next story, or how that's going to factor, because when you leave Force Awakens, you feel like, wow, she's going to be really important in the next movie. She's basically like the leader of the Resistance now, but there's more people in there.
Especially since the Republic doesn't have a capital anymore.
Yeah, since they blew that the fuck up.
They blew up the capital and everything around it.
Yeah, so any governing body, it's come down to whoever's in charge of the Resistance now. So that's like Leia and some of the other generals, I guess. Which might not be a bad thing, because the worst thing about the Republic, even when it's shown by the Rogue One, was how fucking indecisive they were about everything. Like, none of them could agree on anything.
We don't really want to cause any ruckus, so let's just not do anything. Like, good job, guys. Great.
We didn't get to see any Phasma in this. I'm a little disappointed. I'm like, I kind of want the silver stormtrooper. Like, she was so badass looking in the first trailer.
Badass looking.
I know.
Is the key.
But in the first trailer, and then we saw the movie, I'm like, wow, she's barely in this movie. I want her to be in more of this, like, and kick the shit out of Finn for betraying her, or whatever. I don't know.
Just bitch slap him across the screen.
Yeah. I don't know, Travis, what do you think?
No, it looks interesting. Like I said, I am a little bit worried about the Carrie Fisher thing, because that's still sad, too.
Right.
Overall, I'm just kind of wondering how much of the training is actually going to take of the movie. Because we do see the Millennium Falcon.
All of it.
That could be. Well, we see the Millennium Falcon fly by, so I'm like, well, is Rey driving that, or who's driving that?
I guess, I don't know. Did Chewie come with her? Like, I guess, no, he wouldn't leave the Millennium Falcon.
I don't know.
That's Han's ship. But, I'm not sure. I guess it all depends, but I felt like, yeah, she would have taken the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
But I don't know if, like, yeah, I guess Chewie must be there with her, because then that gives her a chance to talk to somebody about the training that's not Luke. So that would be, for a narrative structure, it actually helps that he would be there. We don't get to see him in the trailer, so I'm not sure where he's at. But I do think that it will be most of it's going to be training until the third act, where Rey's got to like, I got to go save Finn, or I got to go save Poe, or whoever the hell will be in danger.
Which damsel do I have to save?
I just don't exactly want it to be exactly like
Empire.
I know, and I don't want it either. But I don't know how you do that story without that. Like, what's the inciting incident to get her off the island before her training's done? Like,
Luke being asked.
Yeah, that's why my original pitch was basically skipping a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I guess you could do it to where, okay, your training's complete, let's go and join the Resistance, and then the next mission or whatever.
It could just be some of Kyle's thinking, just Luke being an asshole and like, well, I don't believe in the Force or the light side anymore, we're going to go middle ground, and Rey goes, no thank you, and then goes find someone else.
That could be too. Or twist it all up and then have the Knights of Ren, like, Kylo Ren finishes his training faster, and then they come to Luke and Rey where they're hiding out, and just go like, oh, surprise, motherfuckers, and then like chase them off of the island or something. I don't know.
Could be, but we also see that Rey is much more Force sensitive than Kylo Ren is.
But yeah, and with how Force Awakens ended so similarly to A New Hope, I'm thinking like, man, I hope this one doesn't end so similarly to The Empire Strikes Back. But given this narrative of the training montage and movie, you have to have some point of the hero has to test their new skills against a new challenge.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, that Rey has to lose this movie for cinematic purposes.
To keep the tension up, so we don't feel like our heroes are invulnerable. Like, so either like...
Well, say goodbye to a hand.
Yes. No, this time she loses a foot.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, damn it!
When was the last time a Jedi lost a foot? They like exclusively attack the hand.
Yeah, it is like them and Aquaman cannot keep their hands on their fucking on their wrists.
Keep your hands to yourselves. Come on, guys.
Seriously, I'd make one of those like lightsaber, like wrist, like whatever deflects lightsabers. I'd make like wristbands on it.
I did finally see somebody make a meme where she's handing Luke his old lightsaber, and they just caption his staring, going like, there was a hand too, did you get the hand?
Did you get the hand back? It's just like, no.
I do like to imagine that when she actually pulled that out of the box, his old decrepit mummified hand was attached to it.
Oh, goddamn. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, sorry, I could never really pry that off.
It's a package deal.
I'm hoping that Kyle's other theory is right, and that somewhere along the line, Luke gets to fight, and then he flips out another Shoto blade that's red, honoring his father. That would be fucking rad, and I want to see it really bad.
That'd be more interesting too if he does decide to go more towards the middle.
Mm-hmm. But with that, I think we can wrap up this trailer talk, because what could compete with that? Obviously, no one else thought they could, so they didn't drop any trailers.
Christmas is just Star Wars now.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, it's going to be such a good year, guys. We got Star Wars, Last
Jedi.
Star-Lord is coming. That's
with Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's pretty soon. Mm-hmm. Thor Ragnarok, where we will finally see Planet Hulk. Like, it is going to be fucking huge this year, man.
We also have Justice League.
And we also have Justice League. So we'll have three really good movies. But Justice League is going to be a big movie too.
Yes. And Wonder Woman.
And we've already had Fast and the Furious. We've had all the super people, like, with superpowers. So, man, fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us, Kyle.
No problem.
Come around, giving your expertise again. We're going to go into a small musical break, and we'll be back with the main topic of the episode, which will be the fate of the Furious. Not Furious. That's,
the fate of the Furries.
Although that would be a fun porn parody of furries, I think. But we will be back with Fate of the Furious right after this musical break.
Bye, guys. Furry car porn.
Got the horse fight going up like that. Lay back, hot in the cut like that. We can turn the dance floor to an elevator in a millisecond. Have it going up like that. We can switch it up like that. Front to the full pack, front to the back. Speaker box blast go rat-tat-tat-tat. In fact, we about to go up like woo.
And welcome back to the UGO podcast, and we are finally going to give our review of the Fate of the Furious, the 8th franchise. I get it, because Fate sounds like 8.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got that. You're clever. But yeah, we are going to be giving our thoughts on the new Fast and the Furious film. So, first off, we got to give a disclaimer. So, none of these are, like, technically good movies. So, but you have to already know that, like, by now. They are, like...
Well, if you've managed to watch up to number 8 and think that this is high cinema, just go with it, I guess.
There are different levels of bad movies, and these ones are, like my higher tier of bad movies. I'm like, yes, these are the movies I'll watch over and over again, because they're hilarious. So, and this one is very much in that style of the more recent, like, crazy stuff, like 7 and 6.
Just straight up superhero film, really.
Yes, and you have to accept the fact that they now have superpowers.
Now?
Not like a joke. Like they've had them since, like, 6, like, maybe even 4 a little bit, but now you have to accept the fact that The Rock does have super strength.
Oh yeah, he does. He's the Hulk.
No, he completely does. He rips a bench made of
concrete,
cement out of the movie. I'm like, oh, so that's how we're doing this now. Okay. And then Jason Statham is like Captain America more level type powers. Everyone can somehow summon kung fu skills kind of out of nowhere, and sharpshooting abilities. Physics kind of don't work right around them. Like
they have a probability field.
That's my guess. I was going to say that they have some sort of probability field that's affecting them, a la Longshot from the X-Men.
But only if they're in contact with a car for a period of time.
Yes, and if the more of them there are together, the stronger those abilities get.
That makes sense.
That's why the cast, as it's getting bigger throughout the movies,
they're getting stronger.
They are getting stronger, and the movies are getting more ridiculous. Thereby, also forewarned, I think about these movies a lot.
No, really?
I think about them a lot more than I should.
I didn't see that.
So in this one, the physics, believe it or not, it's actually a little less ridiculous than 7.
Actually, I agree with that.
Did you agree with that?
It's sad.
I thought it was just me.
No.
Okay, but...
Like, it's sad to say, but this one had a nuclear submarine pop out of the water. I'm like, yeah, that's just kind of part of the course. I don't know.
Well, the thing is that physics randomly kind of apply the same way they should in this movie, and in 7 they like never did. I don't know, you'd have to get like an actual ratio of how much physics affected them and how realistic it was. But in 7 it was like gravity didn't even work right. Like it was like in this one it at least feels like, okay, gravity is sort of universal in this movie, like it works the right way. But yeah, with that, since we've disclaimed it all, let's talk about the actual movie for a little bit.
Sure, why
not? This one's gonna go completely off the rails because I'm just super excited. But yes, in this one, the crew is taking some time off. Vin Diesel is in Rio, or was it somewhere in Brazil, right? I forget.
That was Cuba.
Was it Cuba?
That was Cuba. But
yeah, they did say Cuba. I forgot. But yeah, he's taking a honeymoon with Michelle Rodriguez's character, Letty, and it opens with like the greatest like opening sequence ever. because it's kind of like a James Bond opening sequence. But if James Bond did pointless shit all the time rather than finishing up another mission, because he gets to do a spat where his cousin owes some other dude money, and the other guy, it's like some loan shark, and then the loan shark goes like, yeah, and you better your cousin here owes me money, I'm going to take his car. And then Vin Diesel's like, well, you do owe him money, dude, like that's the deal, man. And then suddenly he's like, yeah, you better give me that money. I don't know, what did he say that set Vin Diesel off? That was just like,
what? I thought didn't he insult Letty?
Yeah, but that was after that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because then shit got really real. But he even was
I think he just interrupted him or something.
Yeah, it was like, wait, why'd you gotta say it like that? And then it's like, you gotta tell your woman, I'm like, okay, I want to keep this about the cars, because you don't even want me to come at you about that, bro. So he decides to do something unbelievably stupid. And, which is to, okay, you want the car, race for it. And then the guy's like, I already have it. Like, why would I do that? Not for his car, my car. And it's like this
nice Impala.
Unbelievably, like, yeah, I don't know what the hell. Was it Impala? Yeah, it was Impala. And yeah, and it's like gorgeous. It's like, okay. And it's like, and then the guy's like, he's got the fastest car of Cuba. I'm like, of course he does. And he goes like, okay, then race your cousin's car in this piece of shit. And it's like, done.
He's got literally the worst car on the island, apparently. Because they actually keep track of that?
So, and it's like, okay, well, what's Vin Diesel's plan? His plan is to take up all of the shit off of it to where he is basically an engine on wheels. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, okay, but that might not be enough, so I'm going to hook up the NOS system to it. And I'm like, I don't think you should do that. I think that's super dangerous. And so, yeah, they race down the Cuba Mile or whatever. I don't even know like how long it is. But yeah, despite the other loan shark dude cheating during it and trying to kill him.
Like, threw a motorcycle at him.
Yeah, and you could argue like, well, he's, just slowing him down. I'm like, that could easily have killed him.
Oh yeah,
like,
especially with the fact that car had nothing on it to protect him anymore.
If he was a normal human being, it probably would have killed him.
But he's in a car, so he's immortal.
And then he gets to a point where he has to win by hitting up the NOS system, and then the car starts on fire.
It just becomes a fireball.
The car is not only a little on fire, it's like he can't see through it, so he has to drive backwards with the car on fire in order for it to go. And he wins the race, and yeah, of course the brakes don't work, so even then, like, the people of Cuba, they don't give a shit that he's on fire. No one cares.
They're cheering, they're like around him cheering.
Okay, I'm like, okay, so maybe they know he's a superhero and they've assumed that Vin Diesel's fireproof. Okay.
But they're not.
But they are definitely not. So they're coming up to congratulate him. I'm like, what are you doing? And he has to flip over the car, totally wrecks his cousin's car. And it's like, okay, the deal's a deal, you get my car. And the other guy's like, and my respect. And it's like, all I ever wanted was your respect. And he gives back the car. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Why did you do all this?
And then I'm like, your cousin's out of a car. What the fuck? That doesn't even make any sense. And he's like, oh, well, since you're out of car, here, take my Impala. And I'm like, this.
And then all of a sudden, his cousin becomes the king of Cuba. Apparently, like that's actually the rules.
Okay, so I'm like, okay. So basically, nothing happened in this first 15 minutes of movie. And it's like. It was just an excuse to have Vin Diesel drive a car that was on fire.
Yep.
And then the title comes up, Fate of the Furious. Because we forgot this was supposed to be a movie all of a sudden. So yeah, Charlize Theron shows up and she gives him a deal. That shows him something on a phone, like, okay, I got your number and you're gonna work for me now, and it's all mysterious to what's on the phone because us audience know that, like, okay, she's got something on him. So the next mission they do with The Rock, he ends up turning on them, and the whole movie is basically the team versus Dom, and Dom apparently has become a fucking James Bond level, agent of chaos, I guess.
Well, I think it's actually, it's kind of it becomes a ninja theory where because they're all against Dom, they're more useless.
Yes.
And
it's
Dom
like,
is more powerful.
So, yeah, because I'm like, not only do they have The Rock, someone who has chased down and caught Dominic Toretto before, they have Jason Statham, another dude that has almost killed him before, working together to find him and kill him, and he kind of kicks their asses like it's no problem. Of course, he doesn't fist fight any of them, he gets into car fights, which are fucking amazing. So yeah, the stunts are back in this one, the crew is back, and we have the new addition of Jason Statham on the team, which is fantastic, absolutely great, because because after the deal goes down, the Rock gets caught, and we get introduced to the new to Nobody again, Mr. Nobody, who is Kurt Russell, and he's got a new tag along played by Scott Eastwood, or as I like to call him, very even somehow less charismatic Brian, which I'm like, wow, it's blatant how much they're trying to replace Paul Walker's character with Scott Eastwood, and I'm like, fuck you. Take this away. I would hate this even if it wasn't Scott Eastwood, but Scott Eastwood is also a plank of fucking wood, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually really missed Brian during this movie. I really missed Paul Walker's performance, and the reason is that he's kind of the heart of the crew. He's kind of the reason, like, that Tyrese is there, and that a lot of them are still there. And he was kind of their moral center, sort of, like, as being the one that was previously a cop, and I don't know, it's his presence actually was missed. And the fact that Dom is now evil during most of the movie, or, like, turned, I should say. Yeah. He is also not part of the crew, so there's a dynamic in the crew that is missing. Like, they don't have their father-daddy figure anymore, and they don't have their heart, so it's a lot of one-liners and kind of just being all scared of Dom, like, oh, what are we gonna do? It's Dom, like, oh, he's such a badass, and I'm like, guys, you're all, like, superheroes, like, you can like tag up on him.
Well, they basically rely on the Rock's character and Letty to
kind of fill those roles. Yeah. And The Rock does a good job.
Hobbs, wasn't it?
Hobbs, his character. Now, he is fantastic because he gets locked up and he breaks restraints just to choke a guy for a point.
Yep.
And
that was awesome.
And I love that because it lets Kurt Russell talk to Scott Eastwood like, okay, I gave you a shot, you shit the bed, now I'm going to do the job. And I'm like, okay, he wasn't even talking about he wasn't even in character then. He was just talking about Scott Eastwood's acting. I'm like, no, you shit the bed, so now let me take over and we'll give you something to do maybe. Yeah. I really liked the prison sequence.
That was fun.
Where we first get introduced to Jason Statham, and
who's, of course, basically just a different character now.
They've completely retconned his character. If you've watched Seven, it's like night and day. Those two characters are completely different, but it somehow works, because no one gives a shit.
I think you brought up a good point after you love the theater. Like, they actually just took the character from Crank and placed him in this movie.
Yeah, so now he's not the other guy. Now he's Chip Chelios. And they're making fun of each other across the cell blocks. The Rock is, they get the setup for Rock to escape, but then Jason Statham fucks that all up, causes a prison riot, and the Rock starts getting shot with rubber bullets, and is just like, okay, so he is like a rock monster, because the rubber bullets are like annoying him more than anything, to the point where they shoot it and they treat it like Rock is a movie monster. Yep. Like, just, oh shit, like,
it's like, he just looks at him like, you did that? Why would you do that? And he like goes up and just nails him in the face. I'm like, yeah, you're okay.
He headbutted a dude with a helmet on and knocked his ass out.
Yeah.
And I believed it. So, and here, I just wanted to fulfill the circle. I wanted one of the guards to go, oh shit, no guys, you don't realize I didn't have rubber bullets in my gun. I had real bullets, and they still bounced off him. It's fucking nuts.
Although, we did actually see up a really fantastic scene, where they opened up with his character, and his daughter's soccer game.
Yeah, where there's a little Moana in there.
Yeah,
where they have Maui, he's got the whole chant. And see, The Rock knows exactly what movie he's in. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Vin Diesel forgot for a minute. Because
Vin Diesel had the more serious part of the movie.
And the fact that there is a fucking serious part of the movie, the fact that it's played so seriously, because I don't want to give away what exactly is the motivating factor, because it was actually a surprise to me what it was.
It meant nothing to me, because I've actually only watched the previous movie.
Yeah, but it does rely on continuity from the previous movies. But it's very serious and like has actual pretty high stakes for Vin Diesel's character. Mm-hmm. But the tone of it, that's like a very serious tone, and then switching between them and the crew who are still fucking around and are still in a Fast and the Furious movie, like, it feels weird when we switch back and forth. Mm-hmm. Also, Charlize Theron is a great actor, a great actress, and Vin Diesel is shown to be a very good actor, like in stuff like Find Me Guilty, and even in the previous Fast and Furious franchises, he's shown good chops. Their scenes together, I don't know, like a couple of their scenes, I was just staring up at the screen. I'm like, why am I bored right now?
Well, Charlize Theron basically did nothing but one-liners the whole entire movie.
She does nothing.
Like, there's almost no point in having her be the actress. I'm like, couldn't you just found anyone off the street to do these?
Well, apparently they're setting her up to be a villain for more of the movies, actually.
Oh, okay.
Like, in this next new trilogy of 8 through 10, she's going to play a heavy part in all of them, apparently.
Well, then I hope they give her more things to do.
Yeah, she just mumbles like one-liners and stuff with Dom, and like talking about like, I know you're not about family, you're more about like a wild chaos dude.
Yeah,
and
she's
like
very generic.
And she doesn't have, like, a lot of her scenes are repeating stuff she said in previous scenes, but in a different way. Like that whole crocodile speech, I'm just like, this is just a more long-winded version of the previous scene with you.
Actually reminds me a lot of the Breaking Bad speech. I am the one who knocks. It's just a less cool version of that, really.
Yeah, and the fact that Vin, like, I don't know, like there's some moments where I'm like, this is good, like it's actually provides great emotional stakes for the character, but we're spending it also means that he doesn't get a lot of action stuff to do until the very end, and there's a dynamic missing. Like, I don't know if this was the movie to make him turn in, because we also have to deal with Paul Walker not being there, and now him not being there, it creates a weird dynamic in the crew that's actually super important that crew works, because it's very integral for the movies and why they work, because there is that sense of, as much as we make fun of it, there is that sense of family and camaraderie between the crew that carries these movies through, even though they're ridiculous and make no sense. And because those characters care about each other, like we care about them,
right? And
we want to see them. Now, in this movie, even the characters are making fun of. We don't know why Tyrese is here either. Like, they just don't know. And I'm just like, yeah, why is he here? Because he's the least funny out of all of you. Like, he's the one that they just give like painful jokes to. And, you know, out of every 5, 1 will hit, but then those other 4 are like, man, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, why would you even put up with that?
Yeah. Well, he's constantly giving shit to all these other characters that you just know. I'm like, yeah, but they could kick the shit out of you at any point. Like, I don't understand why you're giving people, like, those people shit. And then, he's constantly going like, oh, well, why am I, 11 on the wanted board? I'm like, haha, that's funny. Like, that is funny that he's the lamest one out of the crew. And he honestly doesn't get it.
Right. Like, well, he even goes like, well, why is Ramsey above me? Like, really?
Because she's a super dangerous hacker?
Yeah, it's like, why would you actually have to ask that question?
I don't understand why she's not at the top.
Right?
Because car powers shouldn't translate to more dangerous than fucking
making a program that can find anybody.
Yeah, she made that. How is she not number 1? She could just make another one at any fucking time.
Right?
Like, if that doesn't give you the number 1 slot... Oh, no, but there's this one guy that can drive real good. Okay, fine, I guess.
I mean, I can actually understand why, like, Dom might be up there. Like,
sure.
He's a super dangerous guy. But, she should really be up there higher. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the 90s of this movie, like the Charlize Theron's character being named Cypher.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my god, really? No, but actually, what's your real code name? we're sticking with Cypher. Okay, fine.
Although I actually did kind of like that, where they're like, oh, well, Cypher's an organization. Like, it's not.
It's just this one
it's
chick.
her, like, oh.
Really? Okay.
All right.
And then, of course, we get to have a hacker battle, like straight out of the 90s.
Yes.
Where two hackers are just clicking, clacking on the board, like Charlize Theron.
They're getting one-liners. Yeah.
Masan,
ooh, you're good. Ooh.
In Masan, yeah. And they're just trading back, like, ooh, she's good, but she doesn't expect this. And I'm like, these guys are just talking to themselves.
Yeah.
And it's right out of the 90s where we didn't know how computers worked, so we just like, okay, you tap on the computer and then say stuff to make it sound like you're doing stuff. And I'm just like, okay, that shit's fantastic. Like, that's exactly what I want in these movies, and that's exactly how I don't want them to make sense. But there are other things that, like, the whole car zombie point.
I actually like that scene a lot.
That scene is fucking amazing. How is that never brought up again? Like, oh shit, she can do that?
She can control cars. That's like their kryptonite, isn't it?
So, I would think that it has to factor in the next couple of movies, because how would you only use that once if you can do that?
Right.
Like, it's like a whole flock of fucking cars, like, it's like a stampede, and then they're coming over the side, like, I always thought I was gonna see Mufasa running in there, and like, Scar on the other side, like, haha, I'm gonna get that motherfucker. Like, that's how much of like an animal-like stampede it was.
No, it felt like, we call it a zombie like scene, but it felt like it.
Well, the characters themselves, like Charlize Theron said, it's zombie time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they know what they're doing. It ends with a big, the big submarine battle at the very end.
Which is about as ridiculous as it sounds.
Oh yeah, and something I very much appreciated, ending it with the whole Russian nuclear submarine thing. So for me, I would say that this movie is actually not as good as 7. I don't know where I'm gonna end up ranking it, because I am surprised how much the dynamic between the crew is lacking with Paul Walker and Vin Diesel's absence through a lot of it, and Scott Eastwood is not helping. He's a charisma black hole. And he's sucking away charisma of any scene he's in, which is great, since he's surrounded by so many people that have so much charisma. And the Rock, he looks like, I kind of actually want the Rock to be more of the main star in these movies, because he is fantastic in this. Him and Jason Statham's chemistry is actually pretty good. Because again, we mentioned we retconned Jason Statham into being part of the crew, and he's great. He even has a scene later where he actually might have the most chemistry with anybody. He might have the most chemistry with a baby.
That's an amazing scene.
He has a scene with a baby, and it's fantastic. It's great. It's like might be my favorite scene in the film. Like,
well, we also talk about the fact that we didn't like Cypher that much, but she does have a certain lackey. Who's entertaining.
Tormund. Yeah, she has Tormund from Game of Thrones again. Like, man, you get Game of Thrones actors. They're popping them all over in the Fast and Furious movies. Yeah.
Yeah, Daenerys's whatchamacallit, assistant. Hayman, whatever you call her.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know what her actual role is.
I don't know. Like, she's supposed to be like the translator, but she does more shit than that.
Yeah.
But she's the hacker character. I forget her name. Ludacris is also a tech guy, but more like, I guess he does more hardware stuff.
Yeah.
He finally gets a tank, and then Tyrese is just stupid, I guess. Like for real, like the other.
There literally is no reason to keep
the
him
other
around.
movies. I understand why he's there. He's Paul Walker's buddy, so he invites them along. And then in the previous movies, you only needed people that could drive,
right?
And he's a good driver, but I don't think he's even the best driver out of all of them. And even he gets fucking powers at the end of it. Like,
he gets sharpshooting powers.
He gets fucking sharpshooting powers out of nowhere. I'm like, when the fuck did that happen?
And no one stops the movie to point that out either. They just keep going. I'm like, really? I feel like that's important. I don't know.
Oh, fine, I guess. But yeah, they even there's a point where they have their cars come together to protect, like, from a character from a fireball. And I swear to God, for a half second, I thought, they're gonna form Voltron. And I was just like, yes! Do it! Motherfucking do it! And they, of course, they, like, protect him from a fireball, even though that's not how fucking fire works.
Oh,
but, like,
yeah, it's fine.
But it's like, fine, whatever. We did it with cars, so that's how it makes sense.
See, thing is, he wasn't in a car, so they formed cars around him he could draw power from them.
The cars.
Yeah.
And he just needs to be in proximity of cars.
Right.
That's how they work. Now, it's weird how much that our rationalizations for their powers, they actually kind of remain consistent.
They do.
Right? Because if you have it to where their powers are based off of bending reality and probability when they are around cars and certain types of cars, you understand why Vin Diesel doesn't seem to burn ever, and why The Rock seems to have super strength. Mm-hmm. I thought like he might even get less powerful. Like if the longer he's away from a car, he might lose strength. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I would say it's not as good as 7, maybe not even good as 6. I have to watch 6 again. But still a really fun entry into these movies. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And I'm going to say I'm looking forward to the next one. 9, Fast Furious 9, or Fine.
9.
Or Fast Fine. Fast Fine.
They're going to get fined now?
Yeah.
I feel like they got fined before.
Yeah. How about you? What are you thinking?
Well, I said before, I gotta give a 4 out of 10. That's my predicted.
4 out of 10?
No. This was entertaining. I enjoyed it probably more than I'd like to admit. It was highly entertaining. I do hope that if they do bring, Cypher back as a character, they give her a little bit more to do, something more than just one-liners. And, they do need to balance out the team a little bit more, figure out what they want to do with some of these characters. Mm-hmm. Overall, though, it was still a pretty enjoyable movie. I'm gonna go with a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Okay, so that's our reviews there, and we're sticking to them. Now, if you want to stay with us, we're gonna do a little bit of a spoiler section, and if not, just we'll see you next week and have a good time. Hopefully, you can go and see Fast and the Furious. That's Fast and Furious 8 at some point. And come back and enjoy it. But we're going to go into a spoiler section right after this musical break.
We put the good in the good in the good life. We put the good in the good in the good life. We put the bad in the past, now we alright.
Hey, Lonnie, I got you.
Alright, and we're back with a spoiler section for Fast and the Furious 8, or Fate of the Furious. I don't know what to call it to keep it consistent within my head. But I did want to do a spoiler section and just talk about stuff and not give a shit about spoilers because I want to talk about it. So let's start off with the most pertinent thing. The thing that makes Dominic Toretto turn in this movie was actually surprising. I thought it was going to be Helen Mirren as his mom was captured by Cypher. I thought that was going to be it. It actually is not. It's a different family member. It's a Elena from the previous films, played by, I forget her name, the MMA fighter. But she actually had a kid with Vin Diesel in, I guess, Fast and the Furious, the start of Fast and the Furious 7-ish. Or maybe at the end of 6, I guess. That's when they hooked up. But yeah, apparently she's had this kid for a while. I was like, well, I thought, I let you have your honeymoon and, make it as awkward as possible when I was going to bring this up to you. And she hasn't even named the fucking thing yet.
The first name is for the father, apparently.
Wow. Out of all the things in this movie, I think that one stuck out to me as, really?
It kind of just stopped the movie. It's like, why would you bring that? Whatever.
That's weird.
Like, especially when she stopped me, like, I've been calling him his middle name because he doesn't have a first name. Like, no, he has a first name. I mean, you keep calling him that name, that's going to be his name.
So it's a long about way so that they can name him Brian at the end of it. And I'm like, why didn't she say, like, what's his name? I'm like, I thought I'd name him after someone who's
important to his dad.
Who's important to his dad, or important to me, because she knew Brian too.
Okay.
I thought, like, Brian, and then we'd have our emotional moment. It would even have a more connection for Vin Diesel, who has not met this kid before.
Right.
So he would immediately
Kind of a
attach
snap.
It would immediately attach himself to this kid if they named him Brian from the beginning. So I'm like, why did we stop so that we could have that big reveal at the end? That makes no fucking sense. So that was a weird thing. And yeah, so that's some real high stakes for Vin Diesel's character. We see him manipulate stuff to where at first I thought it was just like random luck that he was avoiding cameras and stuff, but it actually showed later like, oh no, he actually planned it out. And I'm like, wow, good for you, Fast and the Furious movie. You actually explained something you didn't even need to explain.
Right? It actually brought back the useless character from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, because Vin Diesel can now, he even says that like, I changed him at a certain point, and it was just like, so Vin Diesel is now going around Naruto style, punching up bad guys to either kill them, but if they survive, they become good guys.
Yes.
That's amazing.
He did it with Vin Diesel. He did it with the asshole in the beginning of the movie.
He has healing fists or something. I don't know. And yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if Cypher becomes a good guy by the end of this. I don't even know what's going to happen. So, but that leads us to meeting Helen Mirren. So, Helen Mirren, it's amazing how small of a part she plays in this.
She's like barely in 10 minutes of the movie.
She is barely in it. She's putting on this really heavy Cockney accent, which is hilarious. And she's playing Jason Statham and Luke Evans' dad, Luke Evans' mom, the matriarch of the family. And so them and Vin Diesel make a deal to get the brother out of prison, I guess, out of this black site, in order to save his kid at the end of the film. So that's amazing. I love it that basically Helen Mirren gets 2 scenes in this film, and they're about like a couple minutes long apiece. And if you know your Fast and Furious history, she's a huge gearhead and is a huge fan of these movies, and has been trying to get on for like the last couple. Like, I don't remember when exactly she made a big campaign to get on. She's like, I want to be in one of these films. I want to be in one. And now apparently she has now a backdoor to be in the future ones, because if you're in one, you come back almost all the time.
Right.
And yeah, so they have her. And I love the fact that this is a film franchise that is about stupid fucking cars, starring Vin Diesel and The Rock, and they're going like, no, Helen, you have to wait your turn, okay? Ugh. And then Helen Mirren has to pester her way onto the movie. It's like, any other movie would snap up at the chance to get Helen Mirren on the film. Right? And they're like, whatever, we'll wait until we have something small for you to do. Sometimes I feel watching these movies, it's like they come from an alternate timeline where Helen Mirren isn't a big star, and Vin Diesel and The Rock are like the biggest things ever. I feel like sometimes it's like it's a window. I'm like, no, this is the car reality where like everyone does have car powers, and these are actually really high end realistic movies.
No, these are autobiographies.
Yeah.
I think it's just worth it because we got a scene with Helen Mirren fake crying to Jason Statham.
You haven't until I finish my cuppa and I'm fucking thirsty. I'm like, oh, I get it. It's just no THs exist in their universe. No ever. But yeah, so that's amazing. We get a fake out death of Jason Statham that's so fakey outy that you can't see. Well, the trailers show him during the plane fight later, and it's like, okay, but why would I believe this in the first place, even without that? But even if I've seen a trailer for this movie, which how could I not have? You've marketed it so much. They even spoiled it by showing the baby thing. Like, they spoiled that as a trailer. I'm like, they showed that sequence. I'm like, okay, so that totally spoils. Like, they don't say who the baby is in the thing,
but you can
kind of figure it out. Yeah. And his chemistry with the baby is fucking amazing. Like, they give him the earmuffs to go on. He's constantly talking to the baby and just like, where's that smile? Oh, there it is.
He's basically in a gunfight talking to a baby as you would talk to a baby.
And it's like, will you shoot? And then one of the guys almost shoots the baby. Like, you'd shoot a baby? It's fucked up, man. Yeah, he switches the baby around and is like, you're not going to want to watch this. Which, all the other murder he's been viewing, apparently. Yes. But it's like, no, okay, this one's going to be a little graphic for you. And then he just, like, spins him around so he can bash this other guy's face in. And yeah, he even brings the baby to the final face-off with the villain. Like, okay, I'm gonna get you. Like, why are you bringing the baby around?
Yeah.
You couldn't have handed it off to your brother at some point.
I don't think you trust his brother.
Yeah, because Luke Evans shows back up. And he shows back up. I'm like, holy shit, the Shaw brothers together again, but not making movies because that's not those Shaw brothers, the other Shaw brothers. Anyway, whatever. I'm like, that's fantastic. I hope he gets more to. Nah, he just holds the pilots hostage and that's it.
Yep.
And I'm like, damn it! Like he didn't get an action scene or something where him and his brother could team up. But maybe in the next film. It's always the next one.
So many new characters to add to the next films.
I don't know how they'll factor in Jason Statham and some of the other people into the next one, but, Cypher's still around, and he says, like, I hate fucking Cypher.
Yeah.
Because apparently they've retconned it, because these movies are, like, their own cinematic, comic book universe now, because they've retconned the previous two villains have worked for Cypher, or refused to work for Cypher, or whatever. She's been involved in, the last two of, like, stealing the God's Eye, and this other shit, and they to give her to make her feel like more of a mythos, like more standing character, which doesn't really come off as much, comes off as more of a really flimsy excuse for Jason Statham to be part of the team. But that's fine because him and The Rock are exchanging the great
the one-liners.
Yeah. So it's gonna be so you and me are gonna go in but a straight up fight after this. Yeah, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to knock your teeth. I'm gonna knock your teeth so far down your throat you're gonna have to stick a toothbrush up your ass to brush your teeth, to brush them. And I'm like, that's amazing. Yes. I'm gonna steal that as a put down line.
And they just stopped and they burst out laughing, both of them. Like, yeah. Okay, so you guys are just having fun now.
And it ends with the whole they steal an EMP and they use it to knock out a nuclear submarine. They get the fucking launch code so that Charlize Theron's character can hold the world's leadership accountable, whatever the fuck that means. Like, that's her whole goal, is like, we have to hold them accountable. I'm like, well, how? If you just launch a nuke at whoever you don't like, they'll just launch him back. And I'm like, it's like, yeah.
Well, the whole idea is that they couldn't find her, so they can't launch nukes at her.
Yeah, but they'll take a guess at where you are and still launch one, depending on who you hit. Like, there's a little more into it, like, you better do what I say or I'm gonna nuke you. It's like, it's a little more complicated than that, but, again, it makes her motivation pretty generic near the end. I was just like, man, really? This thing again? Like, I don't understand the whole, like, I understand getting the revenge off of Vin Diesel's character, like, getting one over you, like, and fucking up your previous plans. But, I don't know.
It didn't really amount to much.
Yeah, but it does lead to a pretty interesting, final, like, heist / operation where the team has to face off against, what's left of Charlize Theron's crew, and also these terrorists that have taken over this Russian submarine, apparently.
Separatists.
Separatists or whatever. And it leads into a cool fight scene with Michelle Rodriguez, who can also fight now, apparently kung fu battle. I think she's picked up those skills in the sixth one, though. Or in the meantime from the sixth one.
Could be.
And... yeah, so that leads to the hacker battle, like we were talking about before.
She also takes one guy out using a propeller.
Yeah, like she Raiders of the Lost Ark him.
Yep.
It was like, oh, yay. I love the fucking the submarine chase sequence. It's fucking fantastic.
Well, not only do we have a nuclear submarine, but there's also a truck with missiles.
It goes full stupid.
It really does.
It goes full stupid. Like, the rest of the movie has been, like, stopping and starting with its stupid, and then in the nuclear thing, it's just like, okay, fine, like, here we go. We're gonna hit the NOS on the stupid, and just let it crank, let it go. And... yeah, so that is amazing. We have Tyrese driving around an orange Lamborghini for no fucking reason. And here's the thing, is that physics actually kind of work more because we see some of the cars slipping and sliding.
On the ice,
and especially Tyrese's car, because he doesn't have fucking traction like the Rock's big ass, like... Jeep thingy, where its tires are probably more suited for that. So I'm like, wow... some sort of realism in how the cars drive in these movies. That's shocking, actually.
Well, that's mostly just to make a tense scene.
And then he gets dropped into an ice floe, and they have to shoot a fucking grappling hook, which they've been using throughout the film, which I'm like, I don't know if those work like that, but fine. And like, he gets dragged out on a car door, and that leads him to the point where he can just he hits a dude with the car door, takes his gun, and shoots the next 3 dudes out of nowhere. And I'm just like, they could have shot him at, like, any point.
Yeah.
Like, any point they could have shot him.
Yeah, they're always amazed, like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah, so that's, so I love that, and then it leads to Dom turning on his captors, I guess, and, fucking up Tormund, breaking his neck.
Should have burned the body.
Yeah, and just remember to burn the body.
They're in the fucking Russia.
Ice. Oh no. You know nothing, Dominic Toretto. Yeah, so I really can't tell you how much I love that when Dom comes down and joins the crew again, it does feel like, yay, the crew is back together. And they start shooting fucking missiles. And this is my favorite point in the movie, is where the torpedo of the sub comes up. And the torpedo comes up.
It breaks the ice.
One of them blows up, like, a bunch of the people chasing him, and the other one is going alongside the Rock's car on the surface of the ice. So how a torpedo works is that it has turbines at the end of it that propel it through the water. How the fuck is it not only keeping pace with the cars, like, it's not slowing down unless the cars are slowing down, but we see the other cars chasing them, trying to catch up to them. So they can't slow down in order to keep this thing. So it's not only that, but the Rock changes its trajectory, and then it speeds up inexplicably to hit the cars in front of it.
I'm honestly trying to think some bullshit excuses. I really can't.
My only thing is that the Rock somehow his fingertips are strong enough to not only change the direction of the torpedo, but make it speed up.
Well, see, what you didn't actually know is that the Rock is actually Gambit, and he can control kinetic energy.
Kinetic energy via his car. Oh my god, that makes a lot more sense now, too.
Right?
That's how they defend from the fireball later, is that their cars surrounding kinetic or energy field actually absorb that energy. That way, that's why Vin Diesel doesn't get knocked back by the clear shockwave that would appear.
See?
That's
we've solved it.
We've solved it.
The Rock is Gambit.
I love how often we solve Fast and the Furious physics problems with X-Men powers. Because we've used Long Shot, fucking Gambit, and you know what? I think we can work in Colossus somewhere in there.
Oh yeah.
We have, we even have Vin Diesel using Captain America's shield to block bullets at some point, because that was great too. Because he's like, I'm gonna block these bullets from this guy. So I'm like, okay, what if he waits? What, instead of shooting till he runs out, what if he keeps a half a clip? Do you just stand there forever? Do you have a plan after that? We don't know, because the guy uses up his one clip that he has. I'm out. That you have one clip. You're a body. Like, how do you have like one clip from?
Well, see, they apparently also didn't learn a lesson. The Nazis didn't learn when fighting Captain America. His shield's the size of a dinner plate. Shoot under it, and you win.
Go for the legs, man. Go for the legs. Yeah, and. So that was great. The Cypher ends up getting away for future sequels. Woo! And they save the baby.
I mean, I'd say sequel bait, but we already know they're getting sequels, so fuck it.
Yeah, they name it Brian, and everything's hunky dory at the end. And even the Rock's character is like, "Well, I'm going to retire for a little while." I'm like, "Bullshit!"
Yeah, right.
Until you get the next Fast and the Furious paycheck, you'll be in the next one. Trust me on that. Yeah, so that's...
Although I really liked Mr. Nobody in this movie.
Oh, we didn't even mention Kurt Russell. What a travesty. Because I go back and forth. Is Jason Statham my favorite thing about this movie? Or is Kurt Russell my favorite thing
I honestly
about
think
this
he
movie?
might be my favorite.
I think Jason Statham puts it over the top with me after that scene
The
with
baby scene is pretty fantastic.
But Kurt Russell is so busy not giving a fuck during this movie. He is fantastic. Nothing phases that dude.
No.
Everything is happening. He just finds it everything is slightly amusing to him. Like, hey, that's funny.
They use the God's Eye to find Cypher, and it finally tracks it down to the black site where they are.
And it's like, that's here. And this Kurt Russell gets this, like, look on his face like, huh, that's neat. I'm like, really? That's neat? You don't want to activate a lockdown or fucking maybe talk to some men like, hey, search the perimeter? But we don't get it, like, because, like, half a second after that, the shit starts blowing up real nice. And I love that, like, we have grenades or whatever that are gonna knock you guys out. The effects will wear off after an hour. Except for Jason Statham, we put a door on top of him to make sure that he didn't get up. And it's like, yeah, people might not even believe that. The other guys, they'll believe that they got knocked out, but not Jason Statham. We have to put a door on top of him to keep him down. And did we leaving anything out? Yeah, I'm not sure what we were doing, but Scott Eastwood finally learns his lesson at the end, which apparently is just fuck it.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't come back, because I find him exceedingly boring.
Hopefully take some acting lessons or something.
Or take some... well, it's not even the fact that is just that Paul Walker was never that great of an actor either. But he showed some real chops, and there's that one movie, Hours, where he has to save his recently born daughter during Katrina, and he has to keep this generator pumping. He does a really good job in that. So he
seemed better at like just showing emotion than Scott Eastwood.
He had more of a. I guess I always took his character for granted on how much he was actually doing.
The grass is always greener, huh?
Yeah, and it's like we always made fun of him and his like gay romances with like Dom and or Tyrese, depending on what movie it is. But we had the chance to make fun of them because those actors had genuine chemistry with one another.
Right.
That's why they bounced off of each other so well and felt like they were like actual friends.
Well, it kind of seems like Scott Eastwood his character doesn't serve a function other way to be a new butt of the joke.
Yeah,
and we already have one of those.
It's like him to be like, because he's like he's like Nobody Junior, they call him at one point.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we already have Mr. Nobody, so he fills out that function. Is it so that we can have Kurt Russell's too old to be in a car, so we have his surrogate do the car stuff? And then, I don't know, like, I have not yet to see Scott Eastwood in anything where I'm not thoroughly bored by his performance. So I hope, like, he's just not back or he gets a reduced role. And then I hope they find something for Tyrese to do, because I feel like Tyrese shouldn't go away, but we need to figure out what his function in the crew is, because this running joke of even we don't know why he's here, it's starting to run a little thin for me. I need a reason why he keeps sticking around and is part of the crew. Like what function does he serve? What's he good at? But yeah, with that, I think we can wrap it up here. What do you think? Any last minute fast? Okay. Maybe one of these times we'll sit down and have you watch some of the previous movies and see where it ranks for you. Because I think that would be fun.
I could probably sit through that.
But until next time, we are going to be cruising right out of here, I guess, at a quarter mile at a time, Travis. I podcast a quarter mile at a time.
Oh, okay.
And for those hour and a half, or like 100 some minutes or less, I'm free. But yes, if you'd like to get in contact with us and tell us your thoughts about the movie or anything like that, you can leave a comment on our webpage, unapologeticgeekout.com. Give us an email at unapologeticgeekout@gmail.com. Maybe give us a message on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at UGO Podcast. And if you want to help out the podcast visibility-wise, give us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we'll read whatever goes in that review box on the episode word for word. That's my guarantee. And you can write your own, I don't know, Fast and the Furious / fan fiction. I like the ones where it imagines that Vin Diesel is actually part car. That his mother actually had sex with the like Greek mythology.
No, I can see that.
Where one deity of cars, and thereby he gets like Herculean Achilles logic of like he inherits their power now. But with that, we are Unapologetic Geek Out, and we're out.